Well, it's Saturday, and I am in my outdoor studio, and I can see ants, and I can hear locusts, and I can hear automobiles driving by. What do I want to talk about today? There is so much that could be talked about. It's hard to get a subject. There are so many voices today that you just never know. I have seen some videos today, or this past week, made by people like myself. Excuse me. Which means, that they turned on a camera to make a video. And that's what I have done. And I'm fixing to see if I can, make sure that some people understand there's going to be a resurrection of the dead. The resurrection of the dead at that time, when all that have died are raised from the dead, there will be a final judgment. People will be making judgments today. Matter of fact, if you watch this video, you will make a judgment today. God is not going to be mocked. And I firmly believe that it's not God's will for any to perish. I just firmly have to believe that. But I'm not going to believe it to the point to where none will perish, because it's obvious, if you can read, that there will be a lake of fire at the end, in which the devil will be consigned. That's just the best way I can say it. The devil will have a place in a lake of fire. And in this place, there's going to be the false prophet. Now, some people say, no, this can't be. Well, it can. You may not want to imagine it can, but it will be. There was one time a flood. And during that flood, hundreds of thousands of people died. Hundreds of thousands of animals died. And when the flood waters were off of the earth again, there were clouds to be seen in the sky at times, as was a rainbow. We can still see rainbows today. If it rains and the sun, gets in the right position, a rainbow can still be seen today. I just want you to understand that when the resurrection of the dead takes place, that the people will be judged according to their deeds. And I can assure you that a 6-month-old child, if a child dies at the age of 6 months, he's not going to be judged for a whole lot, because I'm sure he didn't do a whole lot, by the time he was 6 months old. But there's going to be a resurrection of the dead of the 40s and 50s and 30s and 60s and 70s and 80s and 90s and a few hundreds, people that were 100 years old, that will be raised from the dead and judged. And the best account that you're going to probably find about that judgment is when Jesus was explaining it to some people years ago, because he told about it. And somebody says, well, don't you know that was just a parable? Yeah, it was a parable, but you could learn something from a parable. I mean, a parable's not so deep that you can't learn something, or at least I don't think it's supposed to be. But the wicked are not going to be rewarded like the righteous. Did you hear that? The wicked are not going to be rewarded like the righteous. The wicked and the righteous are going to be raised from the dead at the same time. And they will be judged at the same time. But the rewards for the wicked is not going to be the reward of the righteous. And I am sure that Noah and his 3 sons did not have to deal with the sin nature, because there's no such thing as a sin nature. Because if you will read before the flood, when God was talking to Noah about the flood, before the flood, you will see that he didn't say man's sin nature has caused this, that, and the other. And God didn't say to Moses or to Noah, you're doing real well, because your sin nature, you have handled it. Folks, I hope you understand when this is over that there's not a sin nature. There's a devil who will take you captive. And if he takes you captive, you will do his will. That's just about as simple as I can put it. And you can even read in, what's called the New Testament about these people being taken captive by the devil to do his will. It's an amazing thing to me that God never mentioned the sin nature. Although it's obvious that the devil sinned from the beginning. And if you're going to sin, you're going to do something the devil wants you to do. You got to be tempted with sin. And being tempted with sin is not a sin nature. It's just a fact of life. Yep, it's a fact of life. The devil is going to tempt you to sin. And God's going to reprove you of it, and me or anybody else. That's just how good God is. He's going to reprove the world of sin. And a wise man will learn to do what pleases God and will set their mind on not wanting to please the devil. And then they can learn a few things. Well, that was what was on my mind. And I'm going to get this. I'm looking at the timer there to see if this is, past YouTube time. And it wasn't. Every day is Judgment Day. And every day you decide what you're going to do. And the consequences of actions are what they are. If you desire to see long life and good days, instructions are plain. But the wicked, those who desire to do evil, are going to suffer the consequences for their actions and deeds. Will you do the will of God? Or will you keep submitting to the devil and do his deeds? It won't be good if you do the devil's deeds and never decide to set your mind on things above and learn to do good instead of evil. It's going to be a resurrection of the dead, folks. And that's just the way it is. And the dead are going to be judged according to their deeds. I am looking for Jesus of Nazareth to return. And when he does, you can believe the earth will see the King. And they won't just see one king. They may see a lot of kings. It's just what I think, folks. It's just what I think. I hope you all have a good day, because I have run out of time here this morning. Thank you.